Faith, Hope, and Consolations. This is the third video from the Immortal Wisdom with Leon Denis series. I'm Vanessa Anceloni, and I'm very happy to share with you the wisdom of Spiritism. Today it's chapter 44 from the book After Death, which was published by the United States Spiritist Council very recently. You can go to the website spiritist.us and acquire your copy. This book is fascinating. In the first video, I talk about Leon Denis and the proposal in this part of the book. It's all about how we can walk our lives in a very steady way. We're living at a very tumultuous time on the earth, and we really need clear guidelines. And he rescues to us the universal truth that is shared in Spiritism in a very philosophical, rational, but also poetic way. It's delightful. Today it's about faith. And he begins by defining it for us. And I have the book right here with me. Faith is the confidence humans have in their destiny and the very feeling that guides them toward the infinite power. It is also the certainty that one is following the path guiding to the truth. Now, in this definition, it's clear to us that it's about our connection with God. It's about the trust we have that God knows why we were created and why we're living this very incarnation. There is a reason. We may be undergoing a very difficult time, but we're never going to give up. Why? Because we know everything shall pass. It's natural to cry when times are tough and harsh on us. It's very important to find help and find a shoulder to lean on, but our connection with God is so certain that nothing is going to keep us away from receiving the loving providence of God. And the second thing he talks about is the blind faith versus enlightened faith. I think it's very interesting when he defined it as enlightened faith, because he says enlightened faith is the one that is bathed by reasoning. It's very unique. Spiritism finally brings peace to the earth in the sense it allows us to be religious, spiritual, and at the same time scientific. There is no paradox in terms of reasoning and believing, because they are together. Faith is enlightened, as says Leon Denis, by our reasoning. So it's very important, as he says here, that when we have, how happy are they who believe, who know, who see, and march safely, for their faith is deep and unshakable. He is the true follower of Kardec, because Kardec was the one who brought to us the concept that the unshakable faith is the one that is marching side by side with reasoning. And he rescues that very concept. So we have no doubt. We may not know, but we're certain that things are happening. Let me give you an example. I remember personally, I was going through, when I moved to the United States, I remember at my work environment, people asking, at work it's so common, people ask, what's going to happen next year in your life? Are you going to renew the contract, etc., etc.? And as a spiritist, I said, to myself, even if I am sure about tomorrow, only God knows. So I never got too anxious or worried about it, because I was like, okay, I know God knows the reason why I'm here, so I'm just gonna keep doing the best that I can. I never entered the gossip mill at work, and I'm not bragging about myself. I'm just sharing with you that it's a lesson I learned with the good spirits. They said, you do not need to enter the gossip mill in your workplace to keep yourself there. And you do not need to undermine anyone either to keep yourself in the position that you are or be promoted. Never, ever. And I tell you, I've seen the very people who were worried and asking me the next, and they thought everything was so certain. They left. And I confirmed what the spirit mentors have taught me. There is no certainty but God's certainty. I don't know. The question is always, what is God's will? Let us feel it. More than thinking, it's about feeling at the level of evolution that we are on the earth. And Leon Denis talks here about how to achieve faith. It's very interesting because he says faith is only achieved by going through the trials of doubt and suffering, the anxieties that assail those who seek. So it is natural that we have doubts. It's natural that we have to acquire another level of faith. And it is exactly through that process and never giving up that we will acquire higher levels. Let me give you a tip. The book 50 Years Later by Emmanuel, psychographed by Chico Xavier, is a great true account about the spirit Celia incarnated and how she progressed in her faith throughout her life. A person quite ordinary in many ways, from the high society in ancient Rome, a patrician woman who later became Christian, and you see the pathway. You can tell that she grew on her faith. So you and I, as we speak, we can grow in our faith. And Leon Denis is telling us how. The other thing he talks to us about is about the power of faith. He tells us that when Jesus said that faith can move mountains, he really is telling us that faith is so powerful that no matter the obstacle we can overcome. Look at Nelson Mandela. He was in a prison for decades. He never lost faith. Look at the result. People could be outside thinking, that's it. He's gonna die in jail. He didn't. He didn't hold grudges. He used it faithfully for the benefit of his and everybody in a whole nation, and today the whole world. Remember, Joanna de Angelis said in this little book named Happy Life, there's always someone observing us. So let us realize that we are a role model, not only for our own conscience, for some people. So it's worthwhile keep fighting for life. Never give up. Never to suicide, never to abortion, never to euthanasia, never ever to death penalty. It's all life, only life. God grants us life. Let us surrender to his giving of life. And Leon Denis continues, there are different types of faith. And on page 270, he talks about, in the first paragraph, there is a faith that is the belief in dogmas, faith that is a conviction that one person may have, faith in ourselves, in material issues, political faith, faith in one's country, professional faith. But the faith he's talking about here is the true faith, reasoned faith. And that's why he again talks about blind faith, enlightened faith, and he says to us, reason is a superior faculty which is meant to enlighten us on everything. The human reason is a reflection of the eternal reason, or as St. Paul said, it is God within us. To underestimate its value and usefulness would be the same as underestimating human nature and insulting the divinity itself. Faith is the mother of noble sentiments and great deeds. So now he's going to tell us about the effects of faith, which is very, very important for us. If I have faith, what's going to happen? The individuals who have deep convictions remain unshakable in the face of danger and throughout their trials. And they resist passions, seductions, struggles, and dangers. It keeps us stronger because we're focused on what is important. And finally, he tells us how much Spiritism helps us strengthen our faith and grow in our faith. Because he says Spiritism gives us the certainty, as he says, the faith that we are not here by chance, that there is a reason for us to exist. We are co-creators. The perspective of times unfolding before us will give us the power to overcome what? Our present miseries, and to place ourselves above fortune's fluctuations. And this is the story of Mother Mary in her own life after Jesus discarnated. Can you imagine when her son, all loving, was crucified? Any mother could go mad, depressed, furious. She did none of this. She couldn't understand the whole 9 yards of the reasons why he allowed himself to be crucified. But she trusted God in her son. She learned so much that later she started helping others as if they were her own children. And Humberto de Campos bringing this message psychographed through Chico Xavier in this book, Boa Nova, Good News. He tells us that she was so motherly, telling everyone who came along her house, her way, everything shall pass, and it will pass, even the joys. Everything is passing. Only the immortal, everlasting joys of the Spirit will be carried out through immortality. And Leon Denis wraps up this most important chapter. Faith. Faith is the title. Consolations. Hope. Let me read to you. Our exalted society hardly ever worries with moral teachings. Nonetheless, all the sincere spirits who seek faith and truth shall find both in the new revelation. An influence from above shall spread upon and guide them toward the dawning light that eventually shall enlighten mankind as a whole. Let us cherish this message. What a joy. Faith that empowers us.